This week, I want to talk about some expired film that I recently had the chance to shoot. Somebody named Taylor on Instagram very kindly sent me a ton of expired film. I think expired film is really interesting because I'm so comfortable and used to what Portra 400 and Fuji 400 will look like. So just having something that has a little bit of an element of surprise to it is pretty fun. From what I've tried so far, these all come out super differently. And while I was in Wildwood, New Jersey recently, during some kind of downtime when the light wasn't optimal and we were just trying to kill some time, I thought I would load up a couple rolls of expired film just for the fun of it and see what kind of photos I could take. So I had a ton of Portra and Fuji expired film to play around with, and I ended up shooting mainly Portra 400 VC and some expired Portra 800. Now there's a couple things you need to know if you are shooting expired film. The general rule of thumb is that you need to overexpose by a stop for every decade that the film stock is expired. Most of the film I had was expired around 2001, which is almost 20 years now. So I ended up overexposing the photos by 2 stops to compensate for that, because supposedly as the film ages, it loses sensitivity just from sitting around. The 400 speed film I rated at around 100 ISO, which is approximately 2 stops, and that should compensate enough for the aging of it. And also this is just, I guess, where the element of surprise comes in with expired film. It's kind of fun that you don't know what to expect. Now another thing that can play a big role in how well your film turns out is how it's been stored over time. And obviously I have no idea how Taylor or the previous owners of this film stored it, which really is something that's just out of control. I'll talk a little bit about how I edited these photos later, but for now, enjoy the footage. We walked around Wildwood for a little bit just looking for cool spots. Since this was expired film, I wasn't gonna shoot any serious work on this, but it was really cool just not being too serious with the images here. And as you can see, the colors are pretty different from what you'd usually expect from something like Portra 400. Portra VC is a film that was made back when Portra 400 and 160 used to have different variations. Now it's kind of all under one name, just Portra 400, because there wasn't as much control back then when there was only darkroom printing. There's no real need for various saturations within the film anymore because you can do that in your scanning or in the editing of the film. So that's why there's only one Portra 400 nowadays. I ended up shooting 2 rolls of Portra 400 VC, and this is the more saturated version as opposed to Portra 400 NC, which also existed. We drove down to Cape May as well, which is very close to Wildwood, and at this point a storm kind of started coming in. The light got a little bit lower, so I loaded up the 800 speed Portra. This also was expired around 2001, and I think I ended up rating this at 320 ISO. The colors here again are naturally very different, and this is obviously something you can't plan for, I guess, unless you buy a ton of the same film. But we did get the opportunity to photograph these very nice clouds as the storm was coming in across the ocean. This was really surreal to see in real life. The grain is a little bit different as well, which I think is cool to see. I had a fun time shooting this expired film. You can see that straight off the scanner, there is a lot of work that needed to be done to these files to get them looking somewhat decent. The Portra 400 VC specifically needed much more editing to get it to a normal looking image. They came out incredibly blue, whereas the Portra 800 was a little bit more on the warmer red side, which I personally like, so I didn't have to end up correcting this too much. Aside from that, I just want to say thanks again to Taylor for sending me all this film. I'll definitely be shooting more of it in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can check out my Instagram in the description. It's @WillemVerb. That's it for now. Peace.